the point though is this, okay, I'm a Bible-believing Christian. I'm one of those weird Christians who actually, now I know there's not a lot of us, right? But I actually believe what the Bible says. That's the kind of Christian I am. I know it's weird because right? It's like I'm the minority kind of Christian because I actually believe it. Yes, ma'am.
How do you feel about the Book of Mormon?
The Book of Mormon, yeah. So where do I start, right? Have you read the Book of Mormon?
Nope.
Any experience with
Nope.
Mormons? So anybody out here, Mormons, experience with Mormons, okay? And she asked the question, this is not Mormon bashing, okay? They're not being persecuted here, I don't know. But the Mormons, and I would actually, let me include the Roman Catholics here too, okay?
Okay.
Let me include the, no offense, right? They're so nice though, they're so nice. Okay, but really, the Mormons are nice too, that's true. The Mormons are actually nicer than the Catholics, no offense, because the Mormons are really nice usually, right?
They just have popcorn and
My friends, the Mormons will mow your yard, the Roman Catholics won't. Now, what's the difference? My friends, anybody out here a Roman Catholic besides our friends? Okay, why are we bringing this up? That's the question, okay? What kind of background do you have, my friend? Baptist? Okay, yeah, that's what I said. No, I have a Baptist background too, okay? So, do you have a Baptist background?
Nope.
Any background?
Yes.
Which background?
Christian.
Christian background? Yes, ma'am. What's that? Where do I preach? So usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Actually, not Monday, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm at Texas Tech University. Next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, by God's grace, I'll be at Texas Tech University. Yep.
Do you have like a parish or something to
Well, Sunday I preached at a church in New Braunfels. That was in New Braunfels. So yeah, I just go around preaching. Yeah. Great question though. So anyway, so we're talking about, so how do I know that Christianity is true?
I have a question. What's your church's demographic? Like,
Well, that's true.
who shows up?
What's that?
What's your church's demographic? Like who's like what?
Well, which city? Depends what city you're in. When I lived in El Paso, Texas, I was like the only white dude in it, right? When I go to Central Texas, there's usually more of that population.
Do you preach the same thing everywhere?
Of course. In the sense of the message, I know my audience, right? So out here I'm talking about different subjects that I wouldn't ordinarily talk about to, let's say, people in my church, right? Because you guys we're dealing with different things out here. So yeah, it depends. Are you talking about like race-based stuff though? Why is race important to you?
It's not just the race, but it's because it's me, like I'm part of who I am, my background.
So
people have dealt with persecution and judgment.
Right. In fact, in our culture today, the ones who are most oppressed are the white men. So I totally understand to a certain extent. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Oh yeah, positive. Yeah, we don't even get the vaccine now because we're white and male.
But
Yeah, we don't get the vaccine. But here's the point, okay? My question is this: why does it really matter, though? I mean, I don't understand why does it matter. I mean, like I look at people as this, okay? What the Bible shows is this. This is why I don't preach differently according to like race or whatever, okay? This is why. See, what the Bible shows is that there's only one race. Do y'all realize that? There's only one race. What's that, ma'am? I still can't understand you. Your face. She's wearing a muzzle. I can't understand her. My friends, okay. Ma'am.
Are you coming to antagonize?
Are you wearing three masks? Do you not believe in science? You're supposed to wear 3 masks.
Oh, look at the GoPro.
I know, I'm asking you, why don't...
For your fetish?
That's a weird word.
Being an asshole?
That's a weird word.
Are you fetishize being an asshole? Because it seems like it.
I really can't understand you very well, honestly, yeah.
Are you educated?
Well, it depends what you mean by that, I guess.
Do you have a brain? Brain cells? Have you gone to school?
Okay, those are 2 different questions. So you can have brain cells without going to school? So which one? You know what I mean? All right, so my friends, we're having a serious discussion here. We're talking about race. We're talking about race. Now, what the Bible shows about race... I'm sorry. I have really good... It's race. Y'all are very good listeners over here. And over here, we're dealing with some other things. But ma'am, you asked the question. I was talking to your question about race. Okay, the reason race is important, but at the same time, you can make an idol even out of race. Did you know that? You can make an idol out of anything. And so race in our culture has been made an idol of, in a sense, right? Because it's saying this, we're saying this, basically, okay? We're saying this, that your race determines your essence. And I'm saying that is absolutely not true. Later, man. That is unbiblical to think that. See, what the Bible shows is that we are all of the same race. There's one race. Do you know who you're... Yeah, they came from whom, sir? Adam and Eve. Who do we come from? Adam and Eve. Okay? We all come from...
Connor, bonjour, comrade.
Comrade, yes, comrade. We all come from Adam and Eve. We are all, in a sense, related in that way. That's why we all have one race. Okay, we're human beings. So I don't see people, I really don't. I mean, you're like, do you preach differently to, I'm like, well, why would you do that? They're human here. If I go to a predominantly, like I was in El Paso, Hispanic church, human beings. If I go to a church, let's say somewhere in Houston, Texas, which sometimes I do, predominantly black, human beings. You know what I mean? Like, we're all human. We're all human. Yes, how are you?
I have a question that has nothing to do with race.
Thank you. Good.
Okay, so this is just a question because we talked about it in one of my classes, like yesterday, I think.
Which class?
Biodesign. It's an engineering class. So basically, what we talked about is science and what science is, and a quote from, I believe it was Albert Einstein, is just to be persistently curious. He has no talents. He's just a curious human being. And that is what science, that is the foundation of science and innovation in society. And then a contrast to that is the story of Adam and Eve and the punishment for being too curious, which was eating the apple.
Okay. There's an assumption that's not true there. Okay.
So, I guess my question is,
hey, Ryan.
do you still support the innovation in society?
Yeah. All right, good question. So, yeah, but the assumption there, the first assumption, though, was actually faulty. The assumption there, now, did the professor say that? Or was that
Absolutely.
It's on, just let it go.
That's a direct
Okay, so Albert Einstein, though, was not as curious as we'd like to think it would be. Because, my friends, he wasn't curious enough to actually look into what the actual position on the fall actually is.
Yeah.
In other words, look, okay, so the reason why Adam was punished was not because he was too curious, but because he disobeyed God by eating the tree.
Well,
right?
yeah, but it wasn't Adam, it was Eve who was too curious because she was the one who
Yeah,
gave
but we're
the
not.
apple.
But the punishment did not come upon Eve in the sense of. So the universe, we all die now because Adam ate a piece of fruit. We all inherit a sin nature because Adam ate a piece of fruit.
Right,
Not because
well,
Eve ate it, but because Adam ate it. The reason Adam ate it, Adam did not eat it because he was too curious. Adam ate it because he was rebelling against God. For whatever reason. In other words, the Bible doesn't really show us the psychology of Adam as a motive of eating it. It just shows that God had set up, the reason God had set up that tree, the tree was not in itself special. The tree was God's parameter to say that God owns everything in the universe and God's the one that sets up the rules.
But don't we not really know the whole truth? Because like we weren't there and a book can't really tell us everything.
Well, a book can tell us everything when it comes to God. A book tells us, the Bible tells us exactly what we need to know about that event. But I agree, yeah, there were some things that actually was there that we're not aware of. Like we don't know how many animals were there at the creation, like exactly how many. We don't know that. We weren't there, right? But we do know there were animals there. We don't know exactly what motivated Adam to eat the tree in the sense of what was it a desire for this or that? Was it Eve that was like really harping on him? Was she like just driving him crazy so he ate it or what? We don't know that, I grant that. But what we do know is enough for us to live by.
But don't you think that we should acknowledge the absence of knowledge and how it's not really an absolute truth?
Wait. My friend, she said it. She said it. Did everybody hear it? My friends, I was hoping it would not come to this, but it has come to this moment where the lady has absolutely denied that we can know absolute truth. She knows it's absolutely true that we can't have absolute truth.
That's not what I said though. I said can we acknowledge that we don't know everything.
Do you believe that we can have, do you believe in absolute truth?
Not really.
Okay, so it's absolutely true that there's no absolute truth.
No. I said not really.
Can you ever be certain about it?
No.
Okay, are you certain that you can't be certain?
No.
My friends, you see this? Don't be this way. That's why I come out here. Don't do this. This is what always happens, okay? So in other words, when you give up God, which you have, right? You admit that. You give up God, you give up the God of the Bible.
I told you I was a Christian, did I not?
Well, you said your background was. And by the way you're talking, it sounds like, I mean, it just seems like you're not Christian.
Well, you're making an assumption because I'm actually
That is an
Presbyterian.
assumption based on what you're saying.
And I work in a nursery at a Sunday school.
That doesn't make you Christian, though, right?
Right, but I literally work at a church.
Yeah, I know. I used to know a homosexual pianist who was a piano player at a church in San Francisco. The guy is not a Christian.
Okay, well, I am a Christian.
So ma'am, can I ask you a question? So you do not think that we can have absolute truth?
Pretty much correct.
Okay? Do you think that the Bible, so when it, I mean, let's talk about the Bible, okay? Because you were, it seems like, I don't want to just,
Keep talking, I'm just going to pet the puppy really quick. Don't let this
who's got a puppy? Okay, the guy's
He's
got
got
a
a
puppy.
puppy.
The puppy? Yeah, the puppy is not a human being. So why are we treating the puppy like it? Why don't you just get a kid?
Because there's intrinsic value.
Why don't you get a kid instead
Because I
of...
rescued her off the street yesterday. It's my fucking dog, sir.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah. But I'm
I
just
can
saying,
do
why not
whatever the
just get a
fuck I
kid?
want, just like you can, sir.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you.
Why are you cussing them?
Because you kind of pissed me off, man.
Why?
Well, you didn't. Oh, no, it's why.
No, I'm just asking what made you upset.
Oh, because you made fun of me having a dog. That's why.
I didn't make fun of you. I just said, why don't you get a kid?
Oh, I don't know. It's all. We're good. You know, hey, let's keep
So my
going.
friends, yeah, the guy's got real nasty heart, man. I'm sorry to hear that. You know what I'm saying?
Good,
Yeah.
man. You're an asshole, so that's cool. Everybody knows that. All of these guys are here. They want to see what kind of show you're putting on. Mr. Abraham Lincoln looking ass.
Abraham. My friends, it's Abraham, not Abraham. Now, here's the thing, okay?
You know how there's two sides of the coin. There's heads and tails. You never get head. That's why you're out.
That doesn't really make any sense, but okay.
I really think that's
It really shouldn't be that much of a surprise because they
You know what's weird? A grown-ass man coming here and annoying a bunch of freaking people.
I'm going to go head back to the nice
Annoying! Have a good day.
Yeah. So, yeah, have a good day, ma'am. Yeah, but here's what's really happening, ma'am. Is, look, why are we standing here today? Why did y'all come? Why did y'all come?
Witness your bigotry.
Okay, so what have I said that you feel is
I don't know, I haven't been here long enough. I just got here.
okay? So you just assume that there's going to be something I'm going to say that's bigger than say. Now, I was actually going to ask you about that.
I'm not religious.
Okay, so of course, so you come in.
And
Yeah.
I think it's worth acknowledging that not everybody is Christian or
Oh yeah, just for him.
But everybody believes in God. Everybody believes in God.
No.
Yeah, there's no such thing as atheists. Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. Look, I'll show you.
That's bigotry right there.
Okay, it's bigotry to say there's no such thing as an atheist?
It's ignorant.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. I believe in God.
Not you.
No, I
No,
believe in God.
not you. Okay, look. Romans chapter 1. There's no such thing as an atheist or agnostic. There's not even
Then
such
what's your
thing as a
basis for
skeptic.
that claim?
God. God has exhaustive knowledge of every single one of us. God knows His universe inside and out. God has spoken to us about human beings, who we are, what we believe, what we say. What He has said in His Word is that the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all unrighteousness, all ungodliness and righteousness men who by, here it is right here, who by their unrighteousness suppress the truth. For what can be known about God is plain to them because God has shown it to them. Right? And then it goes on, it's saying basically the same thing for almost a whole page. And what it's saying is this, okay? Because of what God has made and the fact that you have a conscience, you know that God exists. Now, why don't you want to acknowledge that? Well, it's because you love sin and God doesn't like that, right? So, in other words,
God doesn't like you, man.
good to see you. I don't know what the guy, it's all right, dude. All right.
Okay,
Look,
is this conversation about abortion?
about abortion.
Are you still on that topic?
I am, yes. It's all about, it goes together. Because why? In other words, these are ways to suppress the truth.
Well, then isn't it the fault of the Christians that abortion exists because they have failed to fully educate people in sexual education?
Where'd you learn that?
What do you mean?
Well, that's quite a huge leap.
Christians
You've been
have,
making them all fucking day.
Christians are supposed to teach people about sexual education.
Evangelical Christians have regularly pushed for the education system to not teach sexual education. They have taught abstinence, which, although is an idea, is not an effective way of teaching people. As we see with abstinence being taught.
Is it just me, or is this guy like way out in left field right now?
No, I think
I
you're.
know Yahweh said. But see, that's what I'm saying, right? So in other words, look, you have biases against God. Outside of Christ, you have biases against God. So you want to go against what God's word says. But listen, you are doing good. You are. I know it takes a lot of courage to come out and say what you said. Oh, really? I mean, it's like, okay, look, when you come out, right? So in other words, when you come into the world, you go astray and you're at war with God because you're doing sin.
That is not true.
My man, wait. What is truth? Define what truth is. Let's talk about truth. He mentions truth. Define what truth is.
Okay.
Well, no, he said that's not true. So we didn't find out, okay, what is truth? That's a good question. What is truth to you?
The notion that we are based in sin is based on the idea of the Immaculate Conception. You know what the Immaculate
Catholic, I don't hold to the Immaculate Conception. The Immaculate Conception says that Mary was without sin.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about Mary,
No,
and I'm not
based
talking
on
about being born without sin. I'm talking about in Psalm 51 and Psalm 58 and Genesis 6 and Genesis 8, way before Mary, it talks about us being born in sin.
So you believe that babies are innately sinful?
Of course.
Somebody who
Nice
believes
dog.
they're going to heaven to live
Nice
forever,
dog.
you sure seem angry.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, but listen to it.
Yeah, listen to what, sir?
You seem angry.
I know. I
You
very
believe you're going to heaven to live forever, and you're not happy with that. You'll never be happy.
I love
Because
you.
you're yelling at everybody. Look what you're doing.
I love you. I love you. Have a nice day.
Catholic. I bet he's a Catholic.
Dude, shut the hell up.
They're great. I love the Catholics. All right, they really are.
I'm primarily Greek Orthodox, so I'm like,
Greek Orthodox. Yeah. All right. So, anyways, we're talking about actually, we're talking about truth. Atheists, the reason I said atheists don't exist. If I told you I was a black man,
I hit you.
well, I'm a black man.
Can I hit you?
That's what. But here's the thing. So why would you hit me for that statement?
Because you're annoying me. It's not specifically for that statement.
Okay, well, slow down. Okay, because obviously I'm not a black woman. But here's the thing. When an atheist says that they're an atheist, and we all just assume, oh, okay, well, they said it, they must be an atheist. Same thing. It does not make you an atheist just because you want to be one, just because you say you are, just because you're trying to play
Same thing
part.
for Christians and Catholics and anything. Just because you say it doesn't mean it's true. It goes for
And a
everything.
lot of times that's true. I totally agree. Like the guy says he's a Greek Orthodox. Well, I went to school. I was schooled by a Greek Orthodox professor who would actually probably listen to what he's been saying and say, I hear about it. Right? And so you have to ask the question. It's a good point because you'd have to ask the question, okay, what does it mean to be a Greek Orthodox? What does it mean to be a Christian? What does it mean to be an atheist? Exactly. That's exactly right. So what I'm saying is that when someone says they're an atheist, what they're doing is they're trying to suppress the truth that they know about God because they know that if God exists, that's not going to be good for their lifestyle. They love their life of sin.
Are you assuming I'm atheist?
No, we're just talking about atheists. I just said I know you're not an atheist. There are no atheists. Right? There's no agnostics, there's no skeptics. Why? Because God has made himself clearly known to everybody according to Romans 1. Now the reason I say according to Romans 1 is because that's God's word. Has anybody else ever read the Bible? Bible reader? That's good. Good, man. Good. Now is anybody out here, now I'm going to ask you a question, okay? Is anybody out here part of the, I don't know how to say it. Nice. Actually, I don't know how to say it. Not nice. But the LGBTQIA, can you tell me what the K stands for, by the way? I really don't know. I've been asking people, they don't know. But it's part of the community now, you know. Can you look up, what does the K mean? I'm really sincere.
I don't know.
Nobody knows. Okay, so I guess they're in it somehow, okay? But, and then plus, we don't want to leave anybody out. But here's the thing, okay? I have a question, right? So when you're answering these questions, and you're talking about a society, okay, claims something, but it doesn't actually hold up those values in those areas. I can give you a lot of examples.
Oh, no, come on.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
No, you.
No, I'm not.
I don't want you to hit me.
No, go
You
ahead.
already said you might hit me if I say something.
No, go ahead.
Last week I was sexually assaulted. I don't want to get hit.
Go ahead.
All right, I'll say it. Okay, look. Okay, so, and I'll just give you an illustration. Okay? So for instance, you'll say that black lives matter.
Yes, they do.
Now, as a Christian, I say black lives matter because they're made in God's image. As a non-Christian, why do they matter to you? What gives a black person dignity? Where do they derive? Who gives them dignity? Where do they derive dignity from?
What?
No, it's tricky. I know, it's like, man, that's a really, I know, look. That's the first question we should all ask before we go ride and burn down buildings.
Yeah, but like, I just
Don't get mad at me. Look, together. Why, I'll say it slowly. Why do black lives matter according to non-Christians? Because for Christians, we say, well, they're made in God's image. Of course they have dignity. Of course they have value. But for a non-Christian, who can't use the Bible, right? Who can't use the God of the universe, why do you say, man? Why do you say, in other words, where do black people derive their dignity?
that comes from within. Dignity, self-worth, everything comes from within. That they matter because they're people. They've gone through stuff. They're just the same as you and me. They're just the same. It doesn't matter if they're Christian or not. You don't derive your value from a freaking old brick by old white man. Doesn't matter.
That's the funny thing.
It's as dumb as the Constitution.
Abraham was not white. Moses was not white. Paul was definitely not white. Peter wasn't white. I don't think, I can look. I don't think there's a white guy in this one. I don't think there's any white guy. These were Middle Eastern guys.
Okay.
They weren't white. Who
Okay.
told you they were white? I mean, if you're wrong about that, what else could you be wrong? I mean, that's a really bad blunder there. Now, here's the thing, okay? So you're assuming, though, see, this is what I was saying, right? So she says, well, black people matter because they're people. Well, that's not an argument. Because another guy can come out, like we've actually seen. And I really have, I'm grateful for the honest. There's a guy named Kyle that's been coming out. And Kyle's like an agnostic type, although he's not. But he acknowledges, he'll say this. He'll say, because we all evolved from stardust, we all evolved from a primordial puddle of different ingredients. Man, did you know he was honest enough, unlike she is, he was honest enough to say this. Nobody has inherent value because we all evolved from stardust, man. So all value that we assign people is artificial. So I say, Kyle, thank you for being honest because that's at least cohesive with your position. Because if you go from, let's get rid of God, to now all of a sudden you're saying, okay, but people have value. Well, who gives them value? Because if we evolve from stardust, we don't have value. I don't care what color you are, I don't care. Right? That's why Charles Darwin said the black people are under-evolved. Why? Because if we evolve, somebody's always going to be less evolved than others, so they're going to be inferior.
Sorry, excuse me, I'm not trying to interrupt. Have a good day.
Bye, girls. Bye.
I know sometimes, you can't handle the truth, like the movie. A Few Good Men, right? A Few Good Men.
That's right.
You can't handle the truth, which is why whenever you're exposed to it, you turn around and try to pretend like, no, listen. Why? Because you know you're in error. Well, my question is this: why, rather than suppress the truth and not listen to it, it's a fear of truth. It's a rebellion against truth. See, non-Christians hate truth. Because Christ is truth, right? Non-Christians hate truth. Non-Christians hate life. So, ma'am, can I ask you another question? Now, again, I was giving her the example when I said, okay, I'm going to give you an example, and you're going to get mad at me because it's from our society. Now, you didn't get mad, but you saw how right I am, and I appreciate that. But let me point out your hypocrisy, okay? And I know for a fact because you have been brainwashed by your culture, so you're going to do whatever your culture tells you to believe. So that's why I know that this lady right here thinks it's okay to kill black babies in the woods. Right? You okay with that? And I'm just guessing because of some other things. I don't know for certain, but I am asking you now so that you can clear the record from wrong. You're okay with black babies being killed by the mob in the woods.
I kind of think I'm blaming my abortion right now.
Yeah, whatever. You see what I'm saying?
No, I think.
So we all see what's going on. Black Lives Matter,
I think I'm late.
unless it's anti-abortion.
So, should I take a plan B, or should I go to a clinic, or
Why are you trying to do this?
why are you doing this? No, why are you doing this?
Because I want you to see how foolish the world view is.
Why do you care? No, you don't. No, you don't. Why can't you leave people alone?
Well, because, again, you know what true love does? True love warns people. True love is when you love
True
someone,
love
you
does
go
not
to them,
exist.
and you want the best for them. I want you to go to you and say, listen, the way that you're going is not a good way. It's going to lead to destruction.
I don't
Even
care.
in your life right now, leads to confusion and nonsense and inconsistency and chaos and a filthy mouth.
Why do you give a damn about anybody here? You should be giving a damn about yourself. And what
Worry
you
about
do in the eyes
yourself.
of God.
Worry
That's
about
what
the
you
fact that
believe
you're a
in. That's not what.
Sir, why are you even here?
Wait, they're yelling at y'all.
No, I'm yelling at you. They have done nothing. But
They've
it's
done
you.
nothing.
Okay, look, why are they mad at me?
Because
I mean,
you're
I'm like
just
their best friend, right? Why are you guys mad at me? Look, listen, let me see. Now, this is what it says, okay?
I don't care what the Bible says.
Exactly. That's my point.
And you
That's my
shouldn't.
point.
Why are you trying to make everybody care?
Okay, look.
Why does it matter to you? How does it hurt you?
I had to come out here today because God brought me out here today.
How does somebody's belief hurt you?
If I didn't come out here, I would never get to reach y'all and tell you that these things are important because they lead to each
To
other.
you. To you.
Well, man, this is the
It's
same.
subjective. It's important to you. Yes, it is.
You think I can be certain about anything? She was out here earlier when the girl got caught in this, right? So she's been having a different edge, right?
I was not paying attention. Genuinely, no.
Okay, well look, here's the thing, okay? You're saying it's subjective. It's not, because the God of the universe, who's my God, is the God of the entire universe, who owns every human being in it.
I have a question. Even if God is real, why should I care?
Like you said, He
Why should I
created
care?
you. He created you.
And what's the point? I don't want to be here.
Where?
Here. If my mom got an abortion, thank you.
You're miserable.
Yes. Because you're here.
No, you're not miserable.
Because people like
You
you
were miserable
exist.
before I came here.
No.
She's big chilling.
I've been chilling.
Big chilling.
Man, you just said.
People like you.
Yes, exactly. So
Bigots.
before you met me,
Bigots. There are a lot of you.
what's a bigot, by the way? How did you define that?
People.
Yes. She said it was because I said something she disagreed with.
She's good with words, okay? A bigot is someone who...
That girl's
to
good
me-
with words?
Yes.
Really?
Okay, you can be an
I would hate
asshole
to
to
hear
me,
what's bad with
but
words.
you're gonna have to go fuck yourself if you talk about
You're right,
her.
you're right. She is better with words. You're right.
Yeah,
She
thank
doesn't
you.
say that.
You're not gonna talk about her, you're talking to me.
No, I just, it's funny.
You're not gonna mention anything about her.
Yeah, I just did. I said, it's funny you said that she's a good word. That's all I'm saying.
She's smarter than you will ever be, and she's gonna get farther than
Actually,
you ever
my
will
friends,
go.
the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
Why should I give a fuck about God?
Yeah, man, He owns the universe from that.
And do I have to pay rent to him or some shit? No! No!
That's great understanding.
No!
Yes, you do. Because this is God's universe.
I owe him nothing. He did that by his choice, even if he is real. He put me here by his choice, if he is real. If he's not, it doesn't matter. Because
Of course He's real. You know He's real.
to you, no.
The difference between you and me is that you hate truth. You're not a suppressed truth. You've been doing that since you've been here.
No, if it's true that God is real, I'm just talking hypothetically. Okay. If it's true, why should I care?
Well, I'm telling you what. You owe Him your life. Every
I
breath
don't
you
owe
take-
him shit. There's no contract.
Every breath you take comes from Him.
Then let me stop breathing. Then let me stop breathing. I don't want anything he has to offer me.
You say that, man, but you don't mean it.
I do. I do. How do you know what I think, what I mean?
Because you're here getting an education, something had to motivate you to be here, something you had to have some drive in your
Because I
life.
want to help people.
Okay, why?
Because I do.
Why?
Because
Yeah, but why? You see, my friends, why, right? have some things. Yeah, but man, look, I'm here because I care about you. I am.
I don't care about you.
I know that. I get that. But you say you want to help people.
Yeah.
Am I not a person?
I don't know.
Actually, God says He hates all evildoers. I'm just saying, right? How easy?
I have a question real quick. What sect are you? Of Christianity.
Yeah, I know. So we asked this earlier. I'm the weird type that actually believes the Bible. That's the kind of Christian. I'm the type that believes the Bible.
No, what sect are you? Are you your own sect? Do you have your own sect? Like, did you create? Are you a specific denomination?
Yes, I am a reformed.
So is that non-denominational or?
It's reform.
Can you define that?
Sure. So in the 1500s, we had a little circumstance with
Dude, they don't want to talk to you.
I'm not talking to them. I'm giving you a history lesson. You asked me if I hit the history of the denomination. And part of this history was this Catholic says I'm not right. So part of
I
this
hope you
was,
guys don't take offense to anything I'm saying, honestly. Okay, thank you. I'm so sorry if I come off strong. I typically keep my beliefs to myself until people come and they be nasty and I get nasty back. So I am genuinely sorry if I have offended you. Alright, thank you.
if you go say Hail Mary, you'll be forgiven.
Okay, you don't need to be making fun of them. You don't need to be making fun of them. Jokes like that are not acceptable.
So what happens is this, okay, in the 1500s, you have this system, this corruption. Let's call it corruption. Right? And part of the corruption was, well, you have to pay money to the church to have your sins forgiven, to have dead people's sins forgiven.
Are you still defining a Reformed Christian?
No, this is the Catholic Church that the Reform came out of.
I don't care about that. Just define. Do a little quick.
Sure. So what happened was there were some reformers who recognized there was a lot of corruption over here. And so they encouraged them to go back to reform back to the Bible, reform back to Scripture, because there's been so much diversion and traditions, and they've taken the place of what God's Word said, that they came in and said, we gotta go back, let's go back. But they didn't go back. And so that's the part I come from. I'm part of that.
The Reformed Church in America?
So that's a denomination. Yeah, so the part I'm from, it would be Reformed Baptist or Reformed Presbyterian or somewhere like that. Conservative, Reformed Baptist, Reformed Presbyterian, Reformed Lutheran, sometimes Reformed Anglicans are out there. I can imagine that, a Reformed Anglican.
You can't tell me exactly what you're
Reformed, that's what I'm telling you. I'm Reformed. If you look at Reformed, that's what I'm telling you I am.
Are you reformed from like all of the listed, or are you subjected to one?
So, yeah, so it depends. So I'm not a Lutheran, I'm not an Anglican.
So what Bible is it?
It's the English Bible. I wouldn't come out the Greek. You can understand if I came out the Greek.
So like ESV, NIV?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah. So
Translation.
yesterday was the ESV.
Okay.
And this is the New King James.
Excellent.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah. So that's a good question. Thanks for the nice civil question, though. By the way, thank you for that nice. That's good. Yeah. Y'all been great listeners over here. So I'm hoping they'll influence some of the crowd over here. Y'all are great too, no offense, right? But we're starting to really get together. Like, we're starting to understand one another, right? We're starting to appreciate each other. I feel like there's a lot of cohesion going on between us now.
To be honest, I just don't have a class and I'm bored.
Okay, well, whatever reason God brought you here, I thank you.
God didn't bring me here.
Yeah,
No,
everything
he
that
didn't.
happens in this universe is ordained by God.
I brought
How
myself
are you,
here.
man?
I walked on my 2 legs.
Right, but God is the one giving you power to do so. And by the way, He keeps the ground from opening up and swallowing you out.
Oh,
So
I would love to go to hell.
Yeah, I know. The gates of hell are locked from the inside. That's what someone very smart said. Well, that's because that's what you're saying though, because they don't want to get out. But here's the thing, okay? We're getting away from what we do say. Man, look, there is a man named Jesus Christ. He was raised from the dead. He was raised from the dead.
And
That's why I believe in
so was
Christianity.
Frankenstein.
I am a Christian today because Christianity is true. There was a man named Jesus Christ. God.
Okay, a lot of people died.
Yes, but not a lot of people get raised from the dead.
Frankenstein.
And so when I say that Jesus Christ was raised from the dead, the difference between his resurrection and let's say Lazarus is number one, Christ never died again. We see it at the right hand of the Father today. Right now, God is reigning today. Christ Jesus at the right hand of God. That's metaphorical. I don't know. I mean, it's not like it's not a material situation. God is spirit. Just like the laws of logic, numerical law, truth, these things are spirit. You don't see these things with your physical eyes, right? But they exist. So when Christ comes to earth, we know that, look, when I come out here, for instance, I'm not coming out just preaching anything, right? Although they're all obviously I'm out here saying, listen, Christianity is the only, what's up, man? It's the only feasible worldview that exists because it's the only worldview that's true. There's no other worldview that's true. And so when Christ comes to earth and he dies for sinners and then he's raised from the dead, that's God declaring to you that what Christ did, what he taught, who he said he was, is true. That's God accepting that sacrifice because the wage of sin is death. And so when Christ is raised from the dead, that is God declaring that we all, my friends, we're all going to be raised from the dead one day. Everybody, sinners, the unbelievers, we're all going to be raised from the dead, and then we're going to stand at the judgment seat of Christ. And then we're going to be judged for whether or not we're in Jesus Christ or whether we're not in Jesus Christ. And that's how it is. See, the beauty of this is we're saved by faith alone. We're saved by coming to Jesus Christ, by putting our trust in him, by turning to him in faith, and by that process, my friends, guess what happens? We have peace with God. We have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. We have peace with God. So my friends, I'm going to, any questions before we'll probably slow it down here in a minute. Are there any questions over here? Any of you guys get everybody get over here? Any more questions?
No, we're just talking.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to be quite sure. We're not quite sure. Are you going to come back?
I was just going to warn people that
Yeah, good. Oh yeah, tell them we'll be here. Yeah, warn them, make sure, hey, tell them, look, if you're looking for a safe zone where they don't talk about truth and they sugarcoat everything, this is not your area. You don't want to be in this area, right? But if you're looking for a place that talks about truth, that brings the gospel to bear on certain culturally relevant topics, this is the place you want to be. So my friends, anybody want to say anything, guys? Everybody good? Okay. Any questions? So we'll see you guys Monday. By God's grace, we'll see you Monday. Ladies, we'll see you Monday, right? Make sure you come back out and tell your friends. Let them talk to them, you know? Yeah, now, by the way, we are the nicest gospel preachers in America. We really are. We really are. So it's not easy. I admit it's not easy. By God's grace, right? It's kind of like Moses being the most humble man on the face of the earth, kind of thing, right? But here's the thing, okay? Sometimes when people tell you things that are true and you don't want to hear it, you automatically perceive them as mean. That usually is the case out here, right? But the reality is, ma'am, is nobody has left you enough to tell you these things that are obvious, that come from God. So I don't know, my friends, if you have any questions though, come to us. We have gospel tracts, we give you some information. Okay, we'll see y'all next week maybe. Unless you have questions, then come up and talk to us, okay? God bless you guys.
Alrighty.
Hey man. How you guys doing? I've seen you out here before, huh?
Yeah.
Yesterday, right?
A couple times. No.
Not yesterday? What's up, dude? Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Y'all are really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think this is interesting.
Yeah. It's just...
We're Christians.
Okay, cool.
Ourselves, and I think it's interesting how like just having like I see your approach. Like I know what you're doing, and I think it's interesting. I don't think there's any harm in it.